So one thing we saw in Power was Kanan treating Tariq like the son that he never had, but what Power Book 3 Raising Kanan is showing us is why Kanan treated him like a son, because he saw himself in Tariq. Now after the events that unfolded at the end of episode 9, with Kanan supposedly killing his father, these are two characters that have more things in common than one, but as with similarities, there are also key differences between the two, so we're going to take a look at both, and talk about the connection between Tariq and Kanan, and why Tariq was the son that Kanan always wanted. So stick with this video right to the very end as we run through both Tariq and Kanan's story. But of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 3 and Power Universe related. But let's rewind it back to Power first, and the first few moments where Kanan met Tariq, it was when he disguised himself as Slim with the original plan to kill him and get revenge on Ghost, but that was until Tariq admitted how much hatred he had towards his father, and this was the catalyst for the relationship between Kanan and Tariq to really grow, and it was because of the hatred they shared for Ghost. And Kanan teaching Tariq pretty much began straight away after this, with one of the first things Kanan teaching Tariq was to never let anybody talk to you into how you feel. Kanan told Tariq that he needs to let people know that he needs to be respected. He showed him the old neighborhood where him and Ghost used to run shit back in the day. Tariq helped him pull licks. Kanan even introduced him to his first girl, Destiny, and they built a real bond, with Kanan telling him how to play the game when Ghost was in prison. And Tariq liked Kanan because he was real with him from the beginning, and you could tell that Kanan took a real liking to Tariq, which you could see through many scenes. But this was the first scene when we knew that Kanan really liked Tariq. It was when Duke told Kanan what the plan was, how they were going to use Tariq as ransom, and then they were going to kill both the kid and Ghost. And this was the moment you really knew that Kanan felt something for Tariq, and ultimately one of the reasons as to why Kanan picked Tariq over Duke, killing his cousin to save Tariq. But once Duke was gone, we saw Kanan and Tariq's relationship really develop even more, especially in season 5 where Kanan taught Tariq the easiest way to sneak upon your enemies is to make them think that they've already won. Tariq said that he was ready to become a hustler just like Kanan, and he really did take on the mindset of Kanan, which is why Kanan liked him. And the same could be said about Tariq. He was the only one who cared for Kanan. This is exactly what he told Ghost after they'd killed Kanan. But what Rack sees in Kanan is what Kanan saw in Tariq, but this was his eventual downfall, because this led Kanan to letting his guard down when it came to Tariq, and who knows, maybe Raquel could do the same with Kanan, letting her guard down to the one person she loves and protects the most. But I'm going to come to this later on in the video when I discuss you ain't a real killer till you kill someone you love. Now both Tariq and Kanan had chances to go to a good school and a way out of the game, but they chose this life and they chose this game. Although you could say with Kanan, he was always going to end up with this life because of the era where he grew up, the influence of his surroundings, and how connected his family were to the drug game. But let's talk about similarities in relation to actions having consequences. So bringing it back to the timeline of Power Book 3 Raising Kanan, every single one of Kanan's actions so far has had a consequence. His eagerness to get on the street and learn the game is just like Tariq, and this was evident since the very first episode when he told his mom that he wanted to help her. He even killed Buck 20, not knowing that his mom's Raquel had already struck a deal with Unique to give up the corner of 140th, and his actions ultimately led him to being taken off the streets and into the stash house, something else which he also gave up. But Unique took Raquel's corners, hit the stash house, but most importantly, Kanan's actions resulted in the death of his best friend D-Wiz. Something that he only recently realized when Rack told him the truth and how he was responsible for his death. But as I said, actions have consequences, and so did Tariq's actions in season 4, episode 8, when he mentioned the name Brains in this lick. This resulted in the death of this house owner, but also Ray Ray having to clean up the mess. But most importantly, Tariq's actions resulted in the death of his sister Raina. So both Tariq and Kanan have shown us at a very young age how many mistakes they've both made and learning the harsh lessons of the game, resulting in the death of D-Wiz for Kanan and Raina for Tariq. Of course the similarities don't stop there, so let's stay with the timeline of Power and talk about cop killers, because that's exactly what Tariq and Kanan are. And the result of Ray Ray killing Tariq's sister, he was the one who ultimately got revenge. He pulled the trigger on the dirty cop, and it's fair to say Kanan never liked cops either, taking out 5 police officers before his eventual downfall in season 5 episode 8, and telling Tariq in his hallucination that at least he was able to take a couple of them down before he fell. But the biggest kill of them all for Kanan, or supposed kill because we don't know if he's dead or alive yet, is Detective Howard, and how both Kanan and Tariq were the ones who shot their fathers. Now Tariq shooting and killing Ghost and Kanan shooting Detective Howard stems from a few similar situations for these two characters. So let's break down Tariq killing Ghost and Kanan shooting Detective Howard. And with Tariq, we have to rewind it back a bit further when Ghost told Tariq that he had to kill Breeze because he was in the way of his future. And ironically, this is exactly what Ghost was doing to Tariq. He was in the way of his future. And with Kanan, it was something very similar, with Raquel telling Kanan that the man you're gonna have at the end of that barrel is trying to take everything from us. It's gonna be up close and personal, and it's gonna be you who pulls the trigger. It's all on you, our past, our present, and our future. And these were two characters, Tariq and Kanan, shooting their fathers, who were in the way of theirs or their family's future. But the quote I just gave from Raquel, we can dive even deeper into this. It's gotta be you who pulls the trigger. And this is something we've spoken about on this channel before, where Tariq's hallucination comes in. Tasha was on her way to kill Ghost until Kanan stepped in and told Tariq that he can't let his mom kill Ghost, it had to be him who pulled the trigger. And both of them do pull the trigger on their fathers. Tariq did it for himself because Ghost was in the way of his future, but he also did it to save Tasha from doing so. And Kanan pulled the trigger because Raquel asked him to save her and their family. These were two characters who were pulling the trigger on both their fathers to save their moms at the same time. Although one of the key differences to this situation is Kanan didn't know he was pulling the trigger on his own father, because this is something Raquel has kept from him ever since he was born, and we're yet to see if Detective Howard is alive and whether Kanan finds out he did shoot his father. And a key change in Detective Howard's choice of words was how he went from calling Kanan B to son at the end of episode 9. And whether or not Detective Howard is the one who stopped Kanan from killing him, we're gonna have to wait and see. And this brings me to talking about how you ain't a real killer till you kill someone you love. This is something Kanan told Tariq in season 5 episode 8, just before he died himself. And whether Detective Howard is dead or alive, this isn't someone who Kanan loves, even if he does find out that he's his real father. So the question still remains, who did Kanan kill that he loved? And this brings me full circle to the beginning of this video, how Tariq was Kanan's weakness and how he let his guard down with him, which was his eventual downfall. And with Raquel, Kanan is her weakness. Detective Howard and Unique have shown us, to get to Raquel, you can go through the prince, which is Kanan. And if Detective Howard is alive, and if Kanan finds out that he's his real father, and his mom's manipulated him into shooting his biological father, then this relationship between these two could really take a turn. And he may just put 2 bullets in her chest where it beats, and 1 in her head where she thinks. And maybe this is the person who Kanan kills that he loves. And this is something I've raised before. Despite Kanan mentioning Raquel in Power Season 2, I still think this is a character who will die at some point in raising Kanan, and it could very well be at the hands of her own son, with this coming full circle, because Raquel could very well let her guard down when it comes to Kanan. And just like how they were bucking off shots at the beach in the very first episode, Raquel also has a bullet on her name too, because in this game, you only end up dead or in jail. But let's have a look at some key differences between these two characters before we wrap up this video, because although there are a lot of similarities between these two characters, there are also some key differences between them. And one of the key differences, they grew up in a different time frame. Kanan growing up in the late 80s to 90s is a lot more raw, and because of his surroundings and who his family were, with Marvin, Rak and Lou, he was always going to be connected to the drug game in some way. And Kanan has and will see a lot more than Tariq as well. We've already seen Kanan on the corners making his first sale, and Raquel accepted Kanan for who he is very early on. Ghost was never accepting Tariq's vision and him wanting to be in the game, but Tasha was. So with similarities, there also comes key differences, and these are some of the differences between these two characters, with their upbringing, era they grew up in. One of them came from a wealthy family, and the other one grew up in the streets. But everything we're seeing with Kanan's story is something very similar to what we saw with Tariq. So drop all your comments down below in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about the connection between Tariq and Kanan, and how similar their situations played out. Drop all your comments down below, and of course if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 3 and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.